What's up, guys? This is Puka, and I'm here with Zach Zamora, who finished top 16 here at the Mississippi Valley Regional. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
With quite an unusual deck.
Yep.
First of all, why don't you just explain what deck you used and why you came to this mix of cards?
So this is my Zebstrika Ray Eel deck, and it's plays a lot like a regular Ray Eel, but it has the option with the Zebstrika card to exert a lot of control over my opponent. With its first attack, its disconnect attack does 40 damage, and it prevents my opponent from using item cards, like the crucial stuff like catchers, switches, whatnot. And so depending on the matchup, I can force them to do things that they wouldn't normally do, like go down to single prize by having to kill Zebstrikas. And then I use that time while they can't capture my eels and can't attack my EXs to build up a big Rayquaza EX and knock out whatever the attacker are. So in a lot of the games, I'm trading one Zebstrika for a single prize for their EX attacker.
Gotcha. It's a cool concept.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that Disconnect is amazingly useful against? Any certain decks that it's better against than others?
It's really good against Garbodor decks in general, because if they get a Garbodor online, then they can't, and I can catcher it, and it's got a 3 retreat cost,
right,
and I can disconnect it to death, and then they can't play another tool on another Garbodor, and so it just wrecks their stuff. It's also pretty good against stage 2 decks, but it's better. It unfortunately comes down a lot to whoever goes first,
right,
because if I go first and I get that disconnect off on the second turn before they can even have an opportunity to play Rare Candy, then that's amazing. And like my quote for the deck is that turn 2 disconnect wins games, and yeah. So
I mean, if you go first, obviously it's a lot stronger.
Yes, it is.
If you go second, it's still strong, but gives them an opportunity to evolve their stuff first. I mean, how did you come to the conclusion of Zebstrika instead of just a normal Ray Eels deck? What made you feel like these 6 spots were worth it?
I'm a big fan, and I've been a big fan for a long time, of not using EXs as the main attacker of decks, because it can, like I say, force opponents to take a lot more prizes than they're used to.
Yep.
And I've really liked Zebstrika as a card ever since it came out. I've been playing similar versions of this deck since States of last year. I don't know. And I also really like that it has a second attack that doesn't get used quite as often, but it also can be used to take that final 1 or 2 prizes off of stuff on the bench. It's a lightning crash. It does 80 damage anywhere.
Yep.
Similar to Raikou EX, but does 20 less damage.
Yeah, except it's not an EX. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little better. Yeah. And Zebstrika looks cooler.
Yeah, Zebstrika does look cooler.
All right. So why don't we take a look at some of the other things in your deck? I mean, you have the 3/3 Zebstrika line. You got 2 Rayquaza EX, those are like the big attackers.
Right.
You have 4/3 Eelektrik line. Did you ever find yourself wishing you had another Eelektrik?
On occasion, especially when I'm going to get up against the Landorus's and stuff.
Yeah.
But in most of my games, I don't need to. Unlike a lot of Ray Eels, where they want to have 3 or 4 Eels in play in every game, I don't usually need more than 2 in play at any given time, because I have time to shift between the 2 attackers and build up a thing. And like something else I'm playing to help out with the Landorus especially is the Emolga and the Max Potions and the 2 Super Rods.
Okay.
Because a lot of Landorus decks, they'll go and try and catcher kill Dynamos and stuff, and we'll blow through a lot of catchers, but with the 2 Super Rods and Emolga, I can make them go through 3 or 4 catcher and then Super Rod and suddenly have a full field of Eels again after a little bit of turn.
All right, so I mean, you mentioned Landorus.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest hurdle for you.
Yeah, that's the most difficult matchup. I had to face it 3 times over the course of the tournament. One of them was my loss in top 16.
Yeah.
And I lost to it pretty much every time I ran into it.
So you run the 70 hit point Blitzel, obviously, for Landorus.
Right.
You would prefer to run the agility one, I would assume.
If I could, but because of Landorus and it also the agility, it's a flip and stuff, so it's fine.
The 10 extra hit points is much better.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for the Pokemon. I mean, you got the shiny Rayquaza.
Yeah.
You don't have the lame promo one. You got the real shiny one.
I got the real shiny Rayquaza. I pulled it out of a pack too. Didn't have to
nice
to buy it.
All right, so I guess let's take a look at supporters. I mean, fairly standard. I mean, we see a lot of people play 4N. Is there a reason you decided to stick with 3?
No, I was going back and forth between playing 4N or playing 4N and 2 Skyla, or 3N and 3 Skyla.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to have the 4 Juniper.
Right.
And I could not find a way to fit 4N and 3 right now, because like, if you look, I'm only playing 3 catcher too.
Yeah. And you got to find room for Zebstrika somewhere. Yeah.
So it was just kind of it was a card I ended up cutting, and also sometimes in the random game I'll go up really far ahead in prizes and becomes kind of a more dead card than it is. But in a lot of games it is the game-winning card.
True. 3's enough still.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, for the other trainers, I mean, you got 2 Super Odd, like you were saying. Just, I mean, that's kind of a necessity now with Landorus. Just get your Dynamos back in there. The Max Potions, those just for Landorus too?
They're actually pretty good against, they give me a couple different things to do. They're good against Landorus and Darkrai, stuff that'll spread and try and take multiple prizes on my Eels and my main attacker at one time. So it will help me, keep those alive a little bit longer, maybe throw off their math for a second. It also provides me a way to, I can do a couple of tricky things with it. If I open with a Molga and have to attach to it, unless I'm able to discard an energy on my first or second turn, I'm not going to pull off a turn 2 disconnect.
Right.
Because I can only attach 1 at best, But if they swing into my Emolga for whatever damage, I could Max Potion it and do it. And the same thing with the Zebstrika. If I need to transition to Rayquaza quicker for whatever reason, and they don't one-hit KO the Zebstrika, I can Max Potion it, dump the Lightning Energy in the discard, and then come up with a surprise 180 or whatever.
Yeah, that's an unexpected use, but that's great use for it too. I got 3 catchers. I mean, you'd like to have 4, but not the end of the world. Usually Rayquaza is going
exactly, and that was the thinking behind it. Like, I'd like to have 4. It was another card that was sitting on the thing that I was going back and forth about.
Right.
But like, there's a lot of 61st cards I'd like to have in this deck. So
you can only fit so many of them.
Right.
You got 3 Switch, 2 Sky Arrow. Did you ever find yourself wanting a 4th Switch?
No, not usually. Like,
I guess it's a little different when you have Zebstrika.
Right, exactly. I don't have to. If I have to, I can just sit up there, let them take, or maybe they'll take a prize while I set up another big Dragon Burst.
It's pretty cool.
The Switch is just helpful for back-to-back ones if I need to, and for getting those Eels out when they do get a trainer turn. If they get stuck active.
And then you decided to go with more level balls than Ultra Balls. What was your reasoning there?
Well, so obviously the Eel line. And then the Zebstrika also has 90 HP.
Yep.
And so does a Molga. So
gets you everything.
It gets me anything except for the rays is what the level ball will get me. And I have this computer search too, and so I still have several outs to finding the rays and whatnot.
All right, and then you got 7 lightning,
7 and 4,
and then an energy search as well. So, and you got all your bases covered.
Yep.
Is there anything you would change with your list now that the tournament's over?
I'd love to find room for a 4th N or a 4th catcher, and I also like to find room for a tool scrapper, but it's not anything. That was I thought in my you guys, if you were watching the stream, my last catcher was prized in against that Garbodor, and so couldn't get anything off of that. So yeah.
So did you feel like you had good matchups across the board besides Landorus?
Pretty much. Once again, it does come down a little bit to going first, but that's true of a lot of things. And I can, like I said before, it's pretty easy to force opponents to do things that they wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
Like force them to keep KOing non-EXs and force them to, have to manually attach to retreat stuff and whatever.
Definitely. Were there any other Pokemon techs you considered adding that you didn't get in here? Like Mewtwo, something like that?
Yeah. There's a couple games where I wish I had a Mewtwo because they got a big Mewtwo on me and stuff, but I was eventually able to respond with a Rayquaza.
Okay.
About that, when I was playing, I'm playing the Spark Dynamo just because it has a spread attack, and it's sometimes good, especially if I'm in. It's good in the Eel Mirror because I can disconnect 2 Eelektriks 4 times and then spark them both to knock them out.
It's pretty cool.
Previously, in an earlier version of this disc list, I was playing a black and white Zebstrika, which has got a 3 lightning energy attack that does 70 to the active and 10 across the bench.
Nice.
And so I was doing the same basic thing, but just couldn't fit it, and the Dynamo evolved from the same thing, so it made more sense to...
Cute way to save space.
Yeah. That's just the one thing. There's, like I said, a lot of 61st cards I like, but, you know, other than Pokemon, I think this is pretty much all I needed.
All right. Now, did you come up with this deck by yourself, or did you have people help you out with it? How did you get to this?
Like I said, I've been playing Zebstrika in one form or another since States, and back then I had a couple people, you know, testing with me and stuff, Jason Harry and Britt Pybus and stuff, and they're good friends of mine. We play.
Good company.
Yeah. And then in recent times, I've been playing just with people in my own league. You know, John Roberts, national champion, goes in my league.
Yeah, I guess he's all right.
Yeah, he's okay. He gets mad at me sometimes.
Really?
No. He's a good guy.
Get annoyed by the disconnect?
He got more annoyed by my Excadrill deck, but we won't even talk about that. Yeah, and then other good friends, Charlene Clemens helped me test like the night before. We were playing a ton of games over the internet and stuff, and she was the one who talked me into playing a second Super Rod, because the Super Rod used to be a 4th catcher, and so it ended up being amazing and helped me out on a ton of games. So.
All right. Is there anything else you want to say? Anybody you want to say hi to? Anything like that?
I mean, hi, Mom. I guess I don't think she's going to be watching this, but
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's the traditional thing. You know, just thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about this, man. Like, it's been fun. Yeah, I enjoy your stuff. So
I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Good luck to you in the future. Do you think you're going to be sticking with Zebstrika, or is it time to hang it up?
I don't know. You know, I thought it was time to hang it up when Landers came out, and for the first half of Cities, I didn't play it, and then I was talking to, I forget who I was talking to, but they were just like, hey, you know, everything's got a bad matchup out there.
Yeah.
And so, in one of the cities, I just, there wasn't a ton of Landorus, and I'm like, all right, I'll take it out of the bag and play it. And bid went 4-2, I think, at that cities. So I was like, all right, keep playing it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hope to see more of it in the future.
Yeah.
Hope to see more of you. Good luck at States.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks for your time, Zach.
Yeah.